I'm Christina Hartman for AOL News Now. Call it a preemptive strike at his inevitable critics.
Former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney was in New Hampshire, test driving campaign themes.
Romney is a potential GOP contender in the 2012 presidential election. He told supporters over the weekend if it were up to him, there'd be no such thing as so-called Obamacare.
Our experiment wasn't perfect. Some things worked, some things didn't, some things I'd change. But one thing I would never do is usurp the constitutional power of states with a one-size-fits-all federal takeover. I would repeal Obamacare.
And while conservatives in the crowd cheered, political analysts pounced on the speech, asking, doesn't Obamacare look a lot like Romney care?
And trying to distance himself from the health care reform law that he signed into law as governor of Massachusetts, which a lot of people, like we heard in Bill's report, say is very similar to Obamacare.
Romney's potential rivals have dubbed Romneycare a model for Obamacare.
When he was governor of Massachusetts from 2003 to 2007, Romney signed into law a state health care plan. It contained a now pariah to the conservative base, the individual mandate, which requires everyone to buy health insurance. But as Fox News reports, Romney is trying to convince the Tea Party faithful there's a difference.
His argument, he says that what he did in Massachusetts was okay because it was custom made for Massachusetts, not for one size fits all for the country.
Right, essentially saying the states have the rights to do this while the federal government.
And whether that distinction will fly with conservative voters is still up for debate. A writer for the American Prospect isn't so sure, saying it really boils down to whether they're willing to accept universal coverage as the goal. If they're okay with state-implemented universal coverage, then Romney can breathe a little easier. But if they're opposed to universal coverage as a matter of political principle, then there's little Romney can do to mitigate criticism from his right. But if that's the difference, CNN's Jim Acosta reports it's not a very clear one. In fact, he suggests it's not what he said more than a year ago when the individual mandate wasn't such a political hot potato.
In that interview, Governor Romney, or former Governor Romney, said that portions of the law that he signed in Massachusetts were a model for the country.
I think people in Massachusetts, like myself, are very proud of the fact that we have a setting where everybody in Massachusetts has insurance, and if people worry about losing a job, they don't have to worry about losing their coverage.
And what about Massachusetts voters? If the Boston Herald's Howie Carr is any indication, they're not convinced. Mitt keeps trying to explain how it seemed like such a good idea at the time. If only those rascally Democrats hadn't ruined it, Mitt keeps saying as the crowd uneasily makes its way toward the exits. As Ralph Waldo Emerson once put it, the louder he spoke of his honor, the faster we counted our spoons. That isn't the impression Politico's James Hohmann got after the speech. He suggests the ghost of Romney's healthcare past won't hurt him too much. 24 Republicans interviewed by Politico this weekend said they're disappointed Mitt Romney created an individual mandate in Massachusetts requiring medical coverage, but appreciate both his vocal promises to repeal Obamacare and his embrace of states' rights. I'm Christina Hartman for AOL News Now.